Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
This episode is brought to you by Intuit TurboTax. Didn't file with TurboTax last year? That's in the past. Now, Taxes is getting the TurboTax app and filing your own taxes for free if you didn't file with them last year. File by February 18th. All tax forms, all 100% free. Now, this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. New filers and filers who didn't use TurboTax last year only must start and file your own taxes in-app by February 18th. Excludes TurboTax Live. Full terms at TurboTax.com.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Hey, Chicago. What do you say? Cubs gonna win today.
Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Pointless Exercise Podcast. It's time for the Cubs podcast with Praz and Oleg. And we didn't think Praz was going to be out tonight because he's out and about, but he showed up anyway. Where are you, Praz?
I am in the lovely state of Wisconsin, not anywhere near the RNC right now. I'm in Lake Geneva on a bachelor party. Far. Yeah, true.
Ron DeSantis is probably in the cabin next to you.
Yeah, he's breathing down my neck right now.
So wait, you're in Wisconsin. You're where, in Lake Geneva?
Yes, Lake Geneva.
Okay. Why are there a bunch of Notre Dame banners behind you? Are you in an Airbnb or something?
That's the person who lives here. Yeah, Airbnb. Oh, okay.
Jerry Faust,
Notre Dame fan. Sure.
Is that whose house you're in? Jerry Faust?
Yeah, Vine, actually.
They're both dead, I think.
Are there any bodies where you are?
They've probably been dumped in the lake.
Are you on Geneva Lake? Is Geneva Lake close? Can you wander out the back door and fall into the lake?
It's a couple blocks away.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
What are you doing out there?
Bachelor party.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yep.
Are you going up to Hurley?
I was gonna say, you haven't found the strip clubs up there yet? We can probably find them for you.
Yeah. Haven't ventured that way yet, but we'll see. Maybe later tonight that might be something we do.
If you go probably about 150 miles north of you, northeast of you, maybe 150, maybe a little further, you can get up to this little snowmobile town called Hurley. I had a buddy who had a cabin, who I think he'd still have it, up in near Minocqua, and it's about 50 miles north of Minocqua. Right, just off Tomahawk, by Eagle River. Anyway, so if you go about 50 miles north of there, there's a little town called Hurley, which is a big snowmobile town. And you drive up, I think it's 51. You drive up 51, and on one side is all lit up, and that's where there's like a little hotel and kind of nice. But on the other side, there's like this dark street. It really is. It's weird. And there's like 5 or 6 strip clubs, like
Okay.
little street. And like most of them, most of them are like 800 square feet, like a Wisconsin bar with like this weird stage. There might be like 2 dancers or something, but there's like 5 or 6 strip clubs. And one time we went up there, and I got wasted. We would just bar crawl around all of these different strip clubs. This is, I don't know, 20 years ago. All of these different strip clubs, and I got wasted. And on the way back, I made my buddy stop at a Walgreens, and for some reason, I bought a pair of these shorts that said USA on them, and I thought they were shorts. They weren't. They were boxer shorts.
Nice.
That's my story.
So it says Hurley, Wisconsin has more strip clubs per capita than anywhere else in the United States. In a town of 1,500, there are 5 strip clubs. There's a strip club for every 300 people.
Yep.
And just a quick Google, Praz. Unfortunately, it's It's a Wednesday. There is in Lake Geneva. You can go to the Sugar Shack. There's 2 floors. First floor is the female dancers, Tuesday through Sunday. Second floor, which was not open tonight, the male dancers. They only dance on Fridays and Saturdays.
Oh, damn it! Missed out on them.
Yeah,
it's the same guys that come in from Vegas when they do the I don't know, what's that Australian one?
Oh, the Thunder from Down Under.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Why did I respond so quickly to that? Like I knew.
That's what it is. Yeah, Hurley, Wisconsin. Holy crap.
Yeah, I don't know. Beloit is like it's a good 45-minute drive, I think, from where you are. But I don't know if the Bear Chest is still. I don't think it still exists. That was quite a place back in the day.
For sure.
Permanently closed. 1901 Wisconsin Avenue.
Oh,
damn!
The little town I grew up in, there's a place in it called the Treasure Chest, and I convinced all my friends at Northern, that it was a strip club. It was like a gift. It was like a little Hallmark store. They had like Hummels. Oh yeah, you guys would come up. We'll go to the Treasure Chest. It'll be great,
dude. You had the paperback grotto.
That's right. Yeah, we didn't need to leave town.
So I have to. There's a warning I have to give to you guys. It's a bit of a warning. My Chrome is going to relaunch in 39 minutes.
Okay, good. We'll look forward to that.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike, I thought the Cubs drafted Mike Rome this year in the
Mike Rome,
little left-handed pitcher out of Valparaiso.
Yes.
He's got lupus. He's got lupus.
Right after they took Mike Hawk, yeah.
Did you say he's got lupus?
He's got lupus. Yeah. Remember they drafted Hayden Simpson, and we had what was mono?
Oh,
and he couldn't pitch.
Yes, that's right.
Henry's like, well, we didn't think to test for that. Like, well, good job.
I thought I had mono senior year. Turns out I was just really bored.
So speaking of the draft, the Cubs. I guess they picked some guys. Their first round pick is a tall third baseman out of Florida State named Cam Smith.
Yep.
And I was heartened to see the first scouting report on him that I saw was probably won't stick at third base, and he hits a lot of ground balls. And when he does hit the ball in the air, he can't pull it. Like, well, there you go. He ticked literally every box on the Cubs scouting chart. So looking forward to that.
Got another Nick Madrigal. Let's go.
Whoa! This guy, he said he's tall.
He's like the
that's fair.
Bizarro Nick Madrigal.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, it seems. I don't know if the Cubs are any good at it. I can't really tell if the Cubs are any good at it, but it seems like there are. Like, if you get guys who hit the ball hard, you could teach them to hit the ball in the air a little bit. That's what it seems like. I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
You would think, but when you're picking that low, how are you going to find a guy that can actually pull the ball? I mean, they picked 14th.
Right.
There aren't 14 guys in the country that can actually pull a ball? No. Well, that's great.
I mean, this is so going into like I don't know that I'm a prospect pervert because I don't really get attached to prospects very much other than my own on my in my fantasy league. But
you're saying you're not a prospect pervert, just a pervert.
Yeah,
exactly.
If the shoe fits, Sandy. If the shoe fits, this was supposed to be a really awful kind of shallow draft. To be fair, that's what everybody was talking about. That's what everybody said. So I don't know what that means, or I'm sure it's just it was probably the Cubs who leaked it because they.
Yeah, after they saw their picks, this was a terrible draft for you, for everybody, but especially us.
Mm-hmm.
They did kind of a Hendry thing. They drafted teammates in the 6th and 7th round. They drafted a pitcher from UC Santa Barbara. Those are the Banana Slugs, right?
Okay, I don't know.
Wasn't UC Santa Barbara? Remember in the scene with the Winston Wolfe in Pulp Fiction where he comes to clean up the car, and Travolta has
It's the Santa Cruz is the Banana Slug. Santa Barbara is the Gauchos.
The Gauchos. That's a cool nickname, though.
All right.
Anyway, they took Ryan Gallagher in the 6th round. They took his teammate, Ivan Brethur. Ivan appears to be missing a vowel.
Ivan the Terrible.
Brethowr. That just smacks of a, Hendry just picking guys from his old high school. There was like one scout. There was 2 guys at Santa Barbara that were good. Let's just take them.
When you said Hendry thing, I thought you meant they took a picture from Creighton. Was that also a Hendry thing?
Yeah. Well, anywhere. So he coached at Creighton. So he got a lot of guys from Creighton. He went to he coached at Dunedin High School. So he drafted guys from there back to number 1 picks, Ryan Harvey and Brian Dopirak, both from Dunedin High School.
That's right.
And he was like best friends with Paul Maneri, who was the coach at Notre Dame, and so he picked a lot of Notre Dame guys because he'd call Paul, "Who you got that's good?" And he'd just like make a list, and then he just so there were only guys from 1 high school and 2 colleges on his whole list, and he's just like picking guys off of it. This will work.
Well, back then they didn't have computers. So.
Their 20th round pick was a guy named Braden Risedorp.
Okay.
Spelled Risedorph.
Oh.
Risedorp.
For a second, you were mispronouncing Reinsdorf.
I was going to say, I'm surprised the White Sox wouldn't want to draft him with that name.
He's a pitcher from the University of Indiana. He was a 4-year sophomore.
What?
It's 4 years sophomore.
Oh, no, it's 4-year college. And
boy.
Yeah, not a 4th-year sophomore.
But
he probably was.
We'll pretend like it's the other one. Yeah. That's funnier. It was hilarious when you guys were, when you and Dave were talking about, like, you could just draft until you stop drafting.
Yeah.
Like how it used to be. That was always brought me back memories.
You should get back to that. What's this 20-round crap?
Right.
Maybe run into an Albert Pujols or a Mike Piazza.
Was Pujols that low? I thought Pujols was like a 9th round pick or something. I don't think he was that low.
There are, during my deep dive, my investigation into how old he was, there are on the internet some hilarious pictures of him playing community college baseball. He is so much fucking bigger than everybody he's playing with. It's like the fact that they were pretending he was 19 years old is hysterical. Like, he looks like everybody on the team's dad.
Sammy coming into spring training in 98.
Realistically, he was he had to be 17 when he came to America to go to high school, to start in high school. Otherwise, he was older than that. He couldn't go to an actual high school. He had to like get a GED or whatever. And he was at least 20. And they just said he was 17 so he could go to high school. Everybody knew that was like everybody in baseball knew that he was older than he said he was. Oh, yeah. And it didn't stop sports writers like Bob Nightingale from just going nuts about this young phenom or through the minor leagues. It's like, well, it's because he's good, Bob, but he's not young. Sorry, I hate to break it to you. Bob had an incredible stat during the All-Star game last night. When Shohei hit his home run, and we found out that was the first time the first homer in an All-Star game since 1996.
Right.
Now, I mean, I watch a lot of All-Star games. I hadn't realized no one had homered in 28 years.
It seems unbelievable.
Oh, but
I know it had been like a long time for any Cub until like Soriano in 2007 in San Francisco.
I think it went from Billy Williams to Alfonso Soriano.
Wow. Yeah.
I had the list in the newsletter. I looked all that up during the What cracked me up was during my highly scientific way that I found it, I went to a page that had every home run in an All-Star game, and I did a Control F Chicago.
Yeah.
That's how I noticed only 2 White Sox ever have hit a home run in an All-Star game.
Oof.
And they're not even. It's Frank Thomas and Maglio Ordonez. It's not like it's going back to like Scooter Nelson in 1902 or whatever. I mean, I guess the All-Star game starts in 1933, but
right. Still,
it is funny, And I wrote about this though. The Cubs, our whole lifetimes until 2016, it's just an endless amount of crap. But what a terrible franchise they were. And on every measure, they were still a much better franchise than the White Sox. And they're just taking all this shit for no reason.
There was
I'd say other than the period between 2005 and 2016, because at least during that time the White Sox had 3 and the Cubs still only had 2.
3 what? World Series?
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. But what's it called? Donahue points out that the White Sox, I think this might still be true, have won fewer playoff games in their lifetime than the Rays.
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, wow.
They needed a pandemic to go to back-to-back, to have back-to-back playoff seasons.
Yeah.
They'd never done it. And
of course, they would have had it already if Jerry Reinsdorf didn't, plant a strike in 94. It technically wasn't him, but,
Yeah,
him leading the charge.
The Indians were right on their ass, and as the Indians proved the next year, they were a lot better than the White Sox.
Yeah,
right.
And the Yankees had a better record than them, too. This whole idea, it's kind of like quaint that all 9 Expo fans look back at 94 and feel like their World Series got stolen from them, and basically their entire franchise, because after the strike, attendance cratered, and MLB wanted an excuse and stole them. But when White Sox fans look back at 94 and act like they were going to win the World Series, it's like, you weren't. I hate to break it to you. Right. What I remember about 94 was I was very pro-strike because the Cubs season was so bad. I was like, you know what? You could just end it. Kind of like the season until last week when they when they turned it all around on their way to a World Series title.
I don't know if they turned it around or not, but last week was fucking fun as shit, except for Saturday. Saturday obviously sucked.
Saturday was
Saturday was awful.
Yeah, Saturday was miserable.
I knew I was going to be a few minutes late. I'm like, I'm going to try to watch the game, but I got stuff to do outside. I'll just keep tabs on it. I look at my phone 9 to 1. And I'm like, well, there's no reason to watch any of that.
Yeah,
correct.
It was when the game started. I don't remember what I was doing Saturday morning, but I always wake up early for the dog. And so I woke up Saturday morning. I think it may have been maybe I wanted to watch the F1 race because I had to record and I hadn't seen it yet.
Oh, it was a doozy.
Yeah, it was a doozy.
Yeah, it was a great race.
That for a little bit, but anyway. So I woke up early and then I usually take a nap like late in the morning. I'm like, I'll stay up and kind of listen to the Cubs a little bit, game 1, and then after the first inning, I can take my nap.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of funny. They lost game 1 in the first inning and they lost game 2 in the 9th inning. So
eighth inning.
Yeah, but in the Cardinals lasted bad.
Right. There you go.
Yeah, but other than that, the Orioles series was the Orioles are really good, and the Cubs beat the shit out of them those 3 days.
Saw how many All-Stars were there from them last night. I mean, geez.
I mean, they beat Burns. I know the Orioles don't have very much starting pitching that they could use some help, but man.
It's funny. The Cubs' run of success against Corbin Burns continues.
Yeah.
Even with him with the Orioles.
I cannot
beat this guy, and they do. It's like not Freddie Peralta, but they can beat Corbin Burns.
Well, Godspeed to Brandon Woodruff on coming back very healthy next season because the Cubs did pretty much own him to when he had been available.
Really? Huh.
Yes. It was like I remember there was a stretch in like every game that those two started against the Cubs in 2022 and 2023. The Cubs were something like 7-3 in 10 of those games.
Interesting.
Yep.
So the Cubs sweep in Baltimore was fun. It was impressive.
Yeah.
Although it did make me, for some reason I was just thinking back to the the 2016 Cubs ended up face planting in a 3-game series against the Padres, who were terrible that year. I mean, it's one of those things. It's one of the it was. I think it might even been the series that kicked off the panic that occurred.
Yeah, like when they went like 5-15,
and they had to win that. They won they won in Pittsburgh the day before the All-Star break, and everybody was like, "Oh, thank God!" Mm-hmm. It's like, what are we? Jesus, we don't deserve a good team if we're gonna wet our pants over this. So there's a reminder that even a bad team can have 3 good games, but you did not expect. I really thought they were going to bury themselves last week, and they didn't. They kind of did the opposite.
Here's what I kind of think of. Like, even if you think, and I know I just said that, I'm not reading much into it, but even if you think that the Cubs are just mediocre, that they're just a bunch of mediocre players, they were playing worse than that for 2 months. So if they're to being just an average major league team, which I think they might be, like, that gives them at least a shot to make up some ground because everybody's that way.
Yeah, for 6 weeks they played like a bad team, and they're not a bad team.
Right.
They're also nothing special.
Well, they're not that up, right? Like that's the other thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, how many of those gut punch losses early in the season can you actually withstand where you're not at the end of the year, like last year, won effectively 2 games out of a playoff spot going, well, we probably should have made the playoffs. we fucked it up in June.
Yeah. Or any 2 of those games, right? You win any 2 of them instead of losing them, and all of a sudden it looks a lot better.
Right.
But, I mean, Jed got the message yesterday. Yeah. You're not supposed to make trades, huge trades, during the All-Star game. I mean, on All-Star, that's the showcase of the best of the best. Little Rob Manfred does not like it, but there were
Andy, sometimes the trade is so huge and is so monumental that you just can't hold it back.
The Cubs traded cash considerations, which you know how tough that is for Tom Ricketts to part with.
Correct, yeah.
For Texas, actually, it was Kansas City reliever. He had not pitched in the big leagues for the Royals this year. He had pitched in the big leagues for Texas this year.
Yeah.
Jesus Tinoco. And if you think that Jed couldn't top the Jose Cuas trade from a year ago, Jesus this year in 9 games with the Rangers pitched 10 innings, 9 strikeouts, and only 7 walks.
Yeah. Hey, that's a positive.
So this
all right.
I do.
How about this though? He has had a control problem. He's pitched parts. He's pitched parts of 3 seasons for the Rockies, 1 for the Marlins, and 2 for Texas. He's struggled with command. He walks 5.5 batters per 9 innings, which seems bad until you look at Hunter Biggie, who's minor league for 6. So he's got better control than Hunter Biggie does.
Yeah, and we're all excited about Hunter Biggie.
Yeah, I was really excited about him the first game in St. Louis. When given a 5-0 lead, he was peppering the backstop with fastballs.
Yes.
I think control problems is why they make Depends for pitchers.
Well, it's why they make North Shore adult diapers.
North Shore adult diapers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Damn it. You're right. Sorry, Cubs. And cash considerations, I think, is going to be singing the national anthem at the Home Run Derby next year.
Couldn't be any worse than this year.
Yeah. So there's that. Andy's frozen on us.
Am I?
He's in such shock from that national anthem.
I know. He's.
Right. How about
there? He is.
Andy was worried about the podcast getting canceled after making that joke.
That joke's fine. Nobody's canceling us for that.
All right.
So Dave and I talked last week about how because of the awkwardly placed draft, it's part of the reason. This seems ridiculous, but it's part of the reason there aren't more trades earlier in July.
Yeah.
Because teams have all their scouts and everybody and their front office people obsessing over the draft.
Sure.
Which I think is hilarious considering there's like 1 million people that work in these front offices, and you should easily be able to go, how about you guys work on the trades and you guys work on the draft?
And so it's not like there's no division between amateur scouting and pro scouting. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what does Carter do? Just stand in front of a blank whiteboard and stare at it for 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
He doodles.
What are you doing, Carter? I'm waiting for somebody to start writing in big league players' names here. Okay, good. You keep focusing. That'll be good. But it looks like it's actually a thing because they really don't make any trades until after the draft, which seems stupid to me. But it's also anytime you have a deadline, the deadline it spurs action, but it also
depresses action until
It rewards people for waiting till the very last second before they do it. Like everybody has an intention. We're going to make some trades, and then no, we don't want to do it too soon. What if a better offer comes in? We don't want to do it. The one thing that looks like a question that got answered is that Cody Bellinger most likely will not be traded, considering he very timely broke one of his fingers, and he was going to be tough enough to trade anyway if they wanted to do it. Now it's an impossibility.
I don't see the downside of the Cubs buying, of the Cubs just trying to get I don't see why they wouldn't go after say Crochet, or why shouldn't the Cubs try?
Yeah, maybe not specifically Crochet, because the starting pitching is kind of the one strength you could say of this team lately.
Fine, so move Jordan Hicks to the bullpen, whatever.
Well, Cratchit there, he was a reliever until this year.
That's true.
No, but he's obviously a really, really good starter. Fine, move Assad to the bullpen. You can't.
What would it cost to get Crochet? You might have to part with Nick Madrigal.
Well, there's a centerpiece.
Nick Madrigal, Hunter Biggie. Is that going to do it, or is that too much? That might be too much.
I don't know.
Jed would offer it and immediately go, no, I didn't mean it. It's too much.
Yeah, they got to get back.
Sorry, Chris. I didn't mean that.
They have to retrade for Jose Quaz and add him to the.
There we go.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Jed's doing three-way trades with waived players. Now, Chris, what if I can get Jose Quaz? Anybody can get Jose Quaz, Jed. No, he's not. He's back at UPS. What if I can get him? I'll call him.
You hinted at it. You hinted at it a couple of weeks ago, saying that Tucker Barnhart is now available again, and the Cubs are still paying for him. Might as well throw him in the trade too.
Yeah, they're still cutting him checks. They might as well put him to use.
Can they trade his contract like they do in hockey all the time?
Basically, you have to take him, and then you can immediately waive him. So yeah, I guess you can.
No. So here's the question, right? You have to sign him for the league minimum, which offsets some of the salary that you owe him. But then if you waive him again, how does that?
Pay it all.
Yeah,
you lose the relief. Right now, Arizona is paying him the league minimum, so that is being subtracted from what.
Right.
Yeah, if you claim him now, you take Arizona off the hook.
Okay.
And now you're paying all of it again.
Well, you're not claiming him, right? Because he's already cleared waivers, so you're signing him for the minimum again.
Right.
So that offsets the original.
But right now, even with him unemployed, you're not paying. I don't know what the major league minimum is. It's like $1 million, right?
50, 770.
Arizona, even with him released, is paying that.
Right.
So they
okay.
just subtract that from what you're. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on the hook. It was guaranteed when they signed him. They had to pay him that much, and if they got rid of him, they still have to pay it. Now, one thing though, we're talking catchers. Cubs could really upgrade. I don't know if you saw this. The White Sox waived Martin Maldonado today.
I saw that.
Cubs legend Martin Maldonado.
Yes,
bring him
could
back.
he come? How many games? If the Cubs signed him, how many more games would he have to play for them to finally get his first hit as a Cub? 40. I believe he
might get there. Might get one by the end of the season.
I believe he went 7 games without a hit for the Cubs that year.
Okay. I'm actually kind of surprised it's only 7.
He wasn't there for 4. He wasn't there very long. They got him, and then because somebody was hurt, right? Wilson or somebody was hurt.
Berrettini, maybe.
So then they traded him for Tony Kemp because they had a big need at utility player.
That's right.
Yeah, he was only there for 4 games. It didn't make any sense because he had just started to round into form. When Dave and I were talking, his OPS was all the way up to OPS plus was up to 3. It got up to 14.
Yes.
He's red hot, and they're letting him go. I don't get it. They had to clear a room because they signed Nick Senzel the other day.
That's right.
They are really gearing up. I did joke that they were going to make a run at 70 more losses in the second half, and I was waiting for a White Sox fan to go, they can't possibly do that, because I think White Sox fans are like, yeah, they probably could.
Do they? How
70
many games do they have? They have 75. How many games?
68, something like that. No, I don't know. You probably have to. I think you basically have to go winless, right? Let's see. They have played 98.
98. Yeah, so everybody's got about 70. A little bit more than 70.
It's still mathematically possible, and if you've seen that roster, maybe more than mathematically possible.
So explain it. So the White Sox can't even get a top 10 pick next year?
Yeah, and the CBA, because they're considered a large market team, you are not allowed to have consecutive. And it's weird. They could pick 10th. You can't have back-to-back top 9 picks.
I want to say in the draft that happened a few days ago that the Nationals were like penalized by that.
Yeah, I wondered why they were lower than I expected them to be.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
weird. Still with that Cleveland.
It's Theo's fault. Actually, it's more the Astros' fault than anybody else's. When they completely bottomed out it's the Orioles' fault. When they just decided to lose 110 games 4 years in a row.
Right.
I think it was Pat and Ron were talking about Brandon Hyde and what a great guy he was, and I'm sure he is. But he was like, Pat was saying, when he interviewed with Baltimore, he wowed them with his plan, and I thought, what's his plan? I'm gonna help us lose 110 games 4 years in a row. They're like, you're the man. Perfect.
So we can get Rutschman, and
that is exactly what we want you to do.
Yeah. Rutschman, Cowser. Wait, who else were the top picks? Gunnar Henderson was like a second-round pick, right, or something?
Yeah, I mean,
Gunnar Henderson was high. He was like second overall.
Their hit rate on their top 3 picks all those years is ridiculous.
I gotta look this up.
But you're right. Second round.
It was Rutschman was a top pick. Jackson Holliday was a number 1 pick, although he might suck. And whoever else? I don't remember who else.
I think the Cubs should find out if he sucks. I think they should take him off the Orioles' hands and get, Mike. We're pretty sure he blows. We'll take him. We'll give him a shot.
I'm pretty sure the Orioles can use another second baseman.
Well, how many places can we trade Nick?
All of them. There's enough for him to go around.
We traded Nick Madrigal to the White Sox, and then later again to the Orioles. What? We're gonna let those two teams duke it out as to who gets him, and they're both like, "You take him." No, you take him.
Yeah,
we don't want him. You take him. Jed made us take him. We don't want him.
Oh God, I'm gonna make a second hockey reference. It was like when the Nordiques traded. Was it the Nordiques traded?
Lindros.
Lindros, yeah. To 2 different teams at once,
or like
whatever works.
Here wasn't it with Elway with the Baltimore Colts drafting him, like refusing to go?
Yeah, but that was just him being an asshole.
Okay.
He was trying to argue that he was the best quarterback ever, or that he's in the running for best quarterback ever.
Mel Kiper Jr. has said it forever. Mel's a moron, but it's not like he wasn't good, but. I don't think he was best ever.
No. He had like a 55% completion percentage for his career, something like that, right?
Right up there with like Mike Tomczak. I'm making my remember when Tomczak was like 18-1 as a starter, and everybody's like, "Look, what a great quarterback he is!" It's like, yeah, he's thrown like 9 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. But I don't.
Wait, who was?
Tomczak had a ridiculous record.
Tomczak.
As a starter, and everybody was like, "It's like it doesn't prove anything. Look at the freaking team he's on. I could play quarterback for that team."
Yeah, just hand the ball to Walter Payton 10 times, and you're good.
And your defense, your defense is just stealing the ball from the other team and scoring. With the defense, like, fine, I guess we're gonna have to score, and then they would,
Yeah. And then on top of that, when they didn't score, like they'd be getting the ball and like on their own side of the field for the whole game.
But.
Mike Tomczak talk. Always nice.
Yeah, you can't get enough of it.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
But yeah, so the trade deadline is the 30th this year, which is weird.
Right.
Like, why isn't it the 31st is a Wednesday? Why isn't it the 31st? It's not like it's some Sunday or something. I don't know. It was the first last year. It's like it's like Easter.
Yeah.
It's always on a Sunday.
You just never know when
40 days
when it is,
after
right around
the
that
last
time.
full moon and whatever, and that's when the trade deadline is now. I'm surprised Rob Manfred didn't show up with he's got his Advent robe on at the draft, getting ready for the upcoming trade deadline.
Hold on, hang on. Isn't that really how they calculate Easter?
No, but it has to do. Well, you guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to try to figure out why.
I think I remember hearing this from high school, from like college or not college, Catholic school. That I
was not that wrong. Date of Easter is determined by the first Sunday after the first full moon that occurs on or after the spring equinox.
Right.
And it turns out so is the MLB trade deadline.
Okay.
After the summer, it's the first Wednesday, the first Tuesday after the first full moon after the solstice.
Perfect.
We got it. Woo.
I just always appreciated when
This is
Easter
so
would
dumb.
fall on the day before opening day. They used to happen a lot, it seems like.
Why did you get such a kick out of that? Because there were still like
then people could
chocolate
start
bunnies
drinking.
hidden in your neighborhood on the way to the game. You're like, oh, look at that! Somebody missed an egg.
No, because I don't know. I have maybe it was just Donahue. I don't know. But like I'd have friends who would stop drinking for Lent, and then when Easter hits, and I'd start drinking again.
Yeah. My dad, who was a big time Catholic, the kind of Catholic who, like, when we were on vacation, would find a church.
Oh wow!
We'd be like, and we're like, what? Seriously? Oh, they got an 8:30 mass. We can get one in before we go to Disney. It's like, Jesus. They even found out where they do mass at Disney World. They would do it at the Polynesian resort. And you could it became like a scam for him and Mom, because you could get in early if you were going to the mass, and then you'd be in the park, and then you could go do whatever, get your spot in line at the Tower of Terror or wherever you were going to do. But he always had a joke about what he gave up for Lent. And he always said he gave up watermelon because it's so in season in the spring that it was such a hardship to give up watermelon for Lent. So that was always a joke.
Right.
I do love watermelon.
And he would actually, like, if when we were old enough, especially when my brother was old enough to drive, we were kind of on our own, we could theoretically go to mass ourselves, and we'd come back, roughly timed it out so it was an hour after. He'd be like, what was the sermon about? And my brother would say, sin.
Sin.
Was he for it or against it? He's against it.
I was a for or against it. Depends on the choir boy. Just kidding.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see when the big trades kick in. The Cubs, somebody was, I don't know if it was Bleacher Nation, somebody with a half a brain was talking about how their August schedule is like really gets easy. So all they got to do is weather this thing. Well, they could still basically screw themselves before they get to the trade deadline, because they start with, I don't have the schedule right in front. I should have the schedule right in front of me, but I know they start with Arizona right away, who kicked their ass, who basically ended their season last year.
Yes.
I know they've got to play the Brewers right after that, I believe. And then the
Cardinals come here, right?
Yeah, a little later.
That's the next homestand. They go to Kansas City.
First week of August.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And then they're done with them,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Beautiful.
But it's not. I think they're done with the Brewers after next weekend, right? Isn't this it?
Correct, yeah.
Good.
it's such an odd. Somebody was blaming it on the balanced schedule. It's like I get the fact that because there's 15 teams in each league, you couldn't set it up so that every team only played like division rivals the last couple of weeks, but you could easily most teams could play key division rivals those last 2 weeks with maybe you might have to throw in the middle of it, 3 in Kansas City,
right?
But to be done with the Brewers on the 24th of July and the Cardinals on the 6th of August. And I'm with you guys. I don't care. Like Cardinal games annoy me, and so do Brewer games. So just get it over with.
Brewer games have become like. It almost feels like anytime I watch the Cubs play the Brewers, like the Brewers intentionally go out of their way when the games are at Miller Park to make their game operations way more like intimidating for everyone else, as opposed to every other time that they play there.
I think we can agree. Last time they went too far, they sabotaged the escalators.
That's true. Yes, the escalators exactly. But no, I'm just saying, like they do everything in their power possible to like try to, rub it in when the Cubs screw up. I guess more so than against other teams.
There is a lot of little brother syndrome. The Cardinals have always had it with the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
The Brewers have it, and the White Sox have always had it.
Yeah,
right.
And the Cubs, I don't know, they have it with anybody. They're just oblivious.
Cardinals, maybe.
They're just oblivious.
Yeah.
They're just
but
oblivious.
not currently the Cardinals, but
Well, I just don't think I don't know. It's weird to talk this way about an inanimate object. Like it's not like the Cubs are a thing, right? But like I don't think that anybody really cares. Like it's just like little gnats or something that like the Brewers and the Cardinals are to them. Sort of like the Packers to the Bears, right? It's like fine, but
so you said the Cubs are. The Cubs consider the Cardinals and the Brewers like the Packers now consider the Bears. Is that what you're saying?
No, the other way around. Yeah, the other way around.
No,
but
I know. But we know the Cardinals fans have a real hair up their ass about the Cubs. They're
right.
And so do Brewer fans.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And sort of the Packers fans about the Bears. I know that we're kind of idiots when it comes to the Packers, but like I think the Packers, like it's kind of to Mike's point, they sort of go out of their way to kind of hate the Cubs or to make things worse or try to make things worse for the Cubs. Like the whole Brewers thing of not letting Cubs fans buy tickets.
Right.
It's so dumb. And
give us another hockey reference.
I don't know.
Oh, with the Nashville Predators? Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Because that's what they would do for Hawks games against the Hawks.
I almost guarantee you that's where the Brewers got their idea. Because it happened like right after that. They're like, oh, that's not a bad idea. We can do that.
Right.
That's right.
Despite the fact that they always get their biggest crowds of the year against the Cubs.
Yeah.
I mean, just take the money. For Christ's sakes, why are you trying to make it difficult? They're trying to give you money. Just take it.
Part of it, maybe the cynical marketing sucks part of me is they do it on purpose to stir up that sort of that thing.
Yeah, they're trying to act, and they think that their fans think it's cool that they're sticking it to the Cubs. I got to tell you though, looking at August, I don't see it getting. It's the Cardinals and the Twins, 2 with the White Sox. Yes, and that a weird. This happened. The Dodgers and Angels had this a few weeks ago. It's a 2-game series with the White Sox that starts on a Friday. So there's an off day.
Sunday off.
Sunday, August 11th. The Cubs are off.
Yeah, didn't they do that earlier in the year when the White Sox were...
That was in midweek.
Oh,
but I think it happened last year or the year before where they had a Sunday off because of that.
Did they go to like Tokyo afterwards or something? That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. Then they get the Guardians, who have the second best record in the American League.
Yeah.
Then the Jays and the Tigers and the Marlins. So there you go. But then you get the Pirates, and you're like, well, that's fun. Right. Except you might get Skeens and is Jones still hurt?
Jones? Yeah, he's hurt for now, but
he'll be. It's the end of August. I'm sure he'll be back for that.
Yeah.
So that month is not.
And that's like the one team that always hits Justin Steele well too.
Well, it'll be the Jameson Taillon
revenge game.
Yeah,
there you go.
But oddly, in September, the Cubs play the Rockies 24 times.
Oh,
Ah, beautiful.
Well, there's a chance to go 500.
I didn't know they were going to do that. Oh, wait, that's wrong. Pirates, Yankees, Dodgers, Rockies, A's, Nats, Phillies, Reds.
Well, the good news is the Phillies might be clinched by then, so they'll rest everybody hopefully.
Cubs may be clinched too, or eliminated. Is that considered clinching?
Sure.
They'll have clenched by then.
Clinched.
I remember there was a playoff game many, many years ago. You know, it was many years ago. It's Jack Buck was doing it on the radio.
Ah, nice.
And somebody got a big hit, and Jack said they've all but clinched the series.
Oh,
and
God.
I was like,
that's good.
They're all butt clenching.
Did he know? Do you think he knew what he said?
I don't know.
I like to assume not because it's Jack Buck.
Yeah, I don't think so. Hey, did you guys see the big announcer rankings on Awful Announcing? The highly scientific poll where they just have fans vote on broadcast teams that they've never seen, like I do.
Right.
Because I vote on every one. Although I do, thanks to MLB, .TV, I do see a lot of them. But the White Sox, if they listed them worst to first, and John Schifrin's little mug popped up right away. Good old number 30th, and I still think they were a little high on the list.
Oh man, yeah, you said that in the that's what I laughed out loud at. I think
Boog and JD were 9th, which is too high for those of us who watch.
I got a take on this because I think that like maybe they're only solely judging what they see out of Boog and JD and don't see how bad it is like from everyone else on Marquee Network. And obviously, like, you know, Boog and JD aren't our favorite announcers. Maybe they appeal to some people, but like if they got to see Marquee as a whole, like with, you know, Taylor always chiming in and you know, the fringy post-game shows with Cole Wright, like maybe it'd be a different story.
I mean, I really like JD. I just don't. Boog has been disappointing to me. I thought he was better than he is, and I have a feeling the reason they score as well as they do is because people know Boog from other stuff, and they're like, oh, he's good. You know, we'll just we'll rank Boog up there.
Yeah, they hear him on ESPN, and you know that may be the thing too. Like, they're people who aren't Cubs fans are maybe ranking him high because like he kind of has the same like measured, not getting too excited, you know, not being a full out homer for the Cubs as you like come to expect him to be on an ESPN broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, my problem with Boog isn't that he's not a big enough homer. It's the incessant, just the weird talk about other stuff. Even like, I get it. You're a baseball announcer. There's a lot of time to kill, but he does it at the weirdest times. Like the point of the game where something important is happening, and he's talking about Boys in the Hood, like they did a couple of weeks ago. It's like, Boog, could you focus on what's happening, please?
It always makes me cringe every time they're like about to go to commercial break, and they're still just kind of talking at whatever nonsense they're talking about as it's going to commercial without giving like the score or the inning or anything.
Yeah. And he gives the score wrong quite a bit, which I remember the first couple of times I noticed it. Well, it's like that the game where I guess it was him doing a Sunday night game, I think. No, it was a Cub game. Anyway, whatever it was, where there was a ground ball to second. Oh, well, he was doing a Sunday night. The Cubs were on Sunday night, and he was doing it on ESPN. And Nico threw it to Dansby, and Dansby ate it. And he goes, and the throw to first, not in time. It's like, Boog, there was no throw to first. Yeah. What are you talking about?
I think part of my issue is that I don't really have a good frame of reference because I watch MLB TV a lot, right? But I always watch Big Inning because it's the only way I can watch the Cubs if they're on in the evenings. Yeah. And it goes by, like, they always kind of go to all these different games so fast, you don't really get a sense of, like, who the announcers are, how good they are, or anything like that. So that's my big thing about announcers. I don't pay nearly as much attention to them.
Yeah. Well, I felt very justified in that I only gave 3 A's.
Okay.
I gave him to I like the Mets broadcast with Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, and Ron Darling.
That's definitely a great one.
I love my all-time favorite non-Cub, non-Harry and Steve, I guess at this point. Oh, Len and JD were really good.
Yeah.
Is Dwayne Kuiper and Mike Krukow doing Giants games. I love those two.
Yeah.
They were highly ranked.
And then a very underrated, fun pair to watch is Don Orsillo and Mark Grant on Padres. They're fucking nuts.
They are nuts. They annoy me sometimes.
Oh, you too much shtick.
Yeah.
I really like them.
I do really like them. I will say with Orsillo, sometimes like he extends his call out a little bit too much in like the deep voice, but for the most part, I think they have a good camaraderie with each other.
Yeah, they're fun together. And Mark got stuck with Dick Enberg for a while. Dick, who was a great announcer, but when he was doing, at the end of his life, not just the end of his career, he's doing Padres games. He's somewhat coherent, and there's Mark playing very much like he's doing a lot of these things Steve Stone had to do in late Harry, which is like gently correct him without correcting him.
Yeah.
Right. Or like Pat had to do with Santo a lot.
All the time.
Yeah.
Even when Ron was still lucid. So it's just more fun. I was like Don Orsillo and Jerry Remy when they did Red Sox games were always fun. I mean, other than the fact that, Jerry had some... Just don't Google Jerry Remy's son. If you just don't.
Mm.
The thing that he did is... one of the worst things ever. It's a murder. It's a literal murder. Yeah.
Oh.
So
I mean, I was gonna say, is it worse than our old
Barkevius Bingo
or our old linebacker?
Where's Sergio Mitre, Barkevius Bingo?
That's the name I was thinking of, Sergio Mitre.
Yeah. When I told that to somebody, do not Google it. They Googled it right around, like, oh man.
No.
Yeah. And they're reading. I think it was weirdly enough, it was like an internal work call, I think. And we're like talking baseball or something. Like, do not Google this. And then they started reading it like little bit by little bit. And I'm like, oh no, stop. And they're like, see the eyes light up, like, holy shit.
I mean, it's not a wholesome crime like Sam Hurd. I mean, he didn't hurt anybody.
Right.
Oh
man.
Could you guys be more like Sam Hurd?
There were a bunch of Packers. Who's the Mossy?
Mossy Cade, the anteater. Oh God. And then, the Packers had quite a run there for a while.
Right, Shamura.
Kellen Winslow Jr. That is just some awful raping women in a nursing home.
Oh God.
Yeah. It's like, holy shit.
If we want to go down this road, you guys ever see about what Omar Vizquel apparently did and why he's like taken forever to get into the Hall of Fame and probably won't now?
Holy
anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good note.
So similarly, I enjoyed that Chip Carey was like 26th on the list or whatever. And they were talking up like with such improvement.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, he can see the bottom easily from where he is.
I did actually. You know what? I need to go back and read it. Did they do any like shitting on Jim Edmonds at all? Because it would be timely after like him taking a dig at Christopher Morel earlier this weekend.
Just weird.
Yeah, is he like an announcer somewhere or something?
Yeah, the Cardinals rotate a bunch of guys through, and he does.
Right.
He does some. Him and Chip are quite the pair, apparently.
It's not Al Habrowski anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if Al does any anymore. Al was a real.
Does he?
But
no, he was
actually given like Ricky Horton and Brad Thompson and Jim Edmonds. Yeah. I would actually take Al. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
at least he had he had like his hatred for the Cubs was like genuine. He almost respected it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's fine. We hate you too. That's fine. You can. Yeah. Yes. But these guys are all milquetoast Dumbasses. I guess Edmonds the day before was going on and on about, he had this awkward thing about pitchers should never use a black glove because hitters can see them like manipulating the ball in it, and they should go to it got really weird about how it should be flesh colored. And then people are like, well, not everybody is tan, Jim, but
right.
So it's like when the pitcher,
I guess it didn't make any sense. It's not like that you don't hold the ball outside the glove and like, oh, hey Jim, look at the grip.
What if they made the glove out of a baseball?
I always like the fact that Ryan Dempster's solution for, apparently when he would go to throw his splitter, he would you could literally see him like jam the ball into his glove. So his solution, instead of not jamming the ball into his glove, was to wiggle the glove all the time. Like he was having a spasm.
Right. To be fair, like I think that a lot of the split ballers, like a lot of the guys who throw the split, when I was a split baller, would there be a lot of the guys who throw the split ball really do that?
Yeah,
like
because you're trying to get it. They're trying to wedge it way in there. Yeah.
Well, not just that, but you start off that way. That way, when you come out of it,
right, yeah, you should do that on every pitch.
Yeah,
make the motion of it, and then you can do whatever grip you want. Yeah, he's over there doing this floppy little. It's like, okay, man. Great.
Yeah. Take it easy.
I was like how, like the first impulse, when a pitcher has a bad game, the first thing is maybe he was tipping pitches. And I was like, we need some behind the scenes stuff, right? I mean, Marquee's got a whole network. They got, other than pickleball and their VEASAN stuff in the morning and Prevagen ads, they got a good 8 hours to kill during the day. I want, say one like Kyle. Well, we know why Kyle had the bad game. His back had locked up, and they still had him pitch. He's like, I could barely walk. Well, it seems like it's great.
He couldn't walk.
Sent you out there to pitch.
He couldn't walk, but he could pitch.
He said in his defense, it hurt less to pitch than to walk. It's like, is there anybody else could have done this instead? But when a guy has a bad game, their first thing is they look at the video to see if he was tipping his pitches. And I was on him to go, no, you weren't. You just suck.
Yeah.
Good news, bad news. You're not tipping your pitches. You just blow.
I will say, that Friday game, man, vintage Kyle. Yeah. That was old.
He's had, great. And he's had some over the years. He's had some pretty impressive games against the Cardinals, which makes it all the better. Mm-hmm. I remember a Friday
81 pitch complete game
where it was a Friday, and I was getting off work, at 2:00, and I get home and the game's in the 8th inning. Slow down! I'm missing this.
That's how games are now. It's crazy. You turn it on, it's 8:00 and 6:00 games are ending.
I mean, I like it because as much as I love baseball,
it's great.
Just sitting around watching guys pick their ass. And here's where we get back to Marquee. They haven't adjusted their broadcast. Boog still tries to tell the same stories in a third of the amount of time. They still go to Taylor a bunch. It's you don't have as much time, guys. They're not taking 40 seconds between pitches anymore.
Yeah.
You can lose about 80% of this shit and just talk about the game, and the game will be over. And I often think that they force stuff into the broadcast that a real network would have on the pre or the post game because they know nobody watches the pre or the post game.
Yeah, makes sense.
Why would they?
And especially during this time when they're trying to save their ass, with the contract running out with Comcast.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody gives a shit. I think I'm on your side, Andy. I don't think anybody really gives a shit about it. I think the Cubs are fine with it because that means that they may force people to buy their package and make more money. I don't think Comcast cares because
the Cubs care. The Cubs care because Comcast is literally half their subscriber base. And while they'll be happy to sell people the $20 thing, they're not going to – there's no way they can make up the money they're going to lose.
Right.
Well, they only need – so if they're only getting $6 a subscriber, they only need –
see, here the issue is right now they get $6 for every Comcast household.
Whether they want it or not. Yeah.
And Comcast, if they do the thing they've done everywhere else, is going to say, no, we're still happy to carry you guys. We're going to put you on the sports tier.
Yeah.
And it only costs $10. But the Cubs are like, yeah, but now only people who actually want to watch us are going to pay the $10, which means we're not going to get $6 from everybody. We're going to get $6 from a fraction of what we used to get.
Yeah.
And that's that's a franchise that does not need that seems to enjoy capitalizing on any perceived revenue loss. It'll just, it's like, oh, we would love to have signed that guy, but we lost all the TV money. We can't do it. I mean, somebody, Mooney, I think, was writing about revisiting the cut Schwarber for nothing, trade Yu Darvish to the one team that would take him, and that was all because they decided that they couldn't handle the money they lost in COVID, and it was all financial bullshit. It was all moving stuff around. They lost a lot of revenue. They also didn't have hardly any of the expenses. They only paid guys for 60 games. They didn't have to pay game day staff. They didn't have to do all this other shit. I'm sure they lost some money, but they didn't lose the amount. It was an excuse to wipe a bunch of guys off the books. And they'll do the same shit with this TV thing if they think they can get away with it. It's an opportunity. Great. It's so much fun to root for a team that's looking for opportunities to cut revenue or cut payroll because there's a imaginary revenue drop.
We can get Tom on the podcast and ask him.
We should. Yeah. There's a chance my nephew's getting married this October, and the fancy family he's marrying into have a house next to Tom. And there's a chance Tom and the lovely bleacher wife will be invited to the wedding.
Oh,
so I may get to go have a chat and then get thrown out of the wedding.
Remind him of the guy at G-Man who ran into him and asked him to be on the podcast.
Hey, you gave him a card, right?
I did not.
No. How does he know how to contact us then? Maybe that's the only reason he hasn't been on. He's like, I'd like to. I don't know how to contact those guys.
I could email him.
He's a Pointless Exercise subscriber. I could just message him.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Him and Todd. Todd, though, it's a pain in the ass because Todd made a special request, so I have to, after I post it, I have to rewrite it in all caps and crayon. But I do
Andy,
it.
Andy, what probably happens is they forward your newsletter, so they only have to pay for one subscription.
Yeah, Marlene fucking hates me. She's like the third on the list. She gets it, and she's like, that son of a bitch. I hate that asshole. I'll show him Omaha Hillbillies.
Yeah, they still think it's a newspaper where you have to finish it and then forward it. Fuckers, I get it 24 hours late.
I can't say I haven't read Mary Worth yet. It's like that's not how it works, Marlene.
Yeah, she probably would have a conversation with you. And she'd be talking to you like Nikki Haley was last night at the RNC, talking like she was talking to children to an entire crowd.
Oh God!
The only I've been actively ignoring the Republican convention, but I saw the maxi pad on Don's ear, but
yeah.
Somebody posted and Dave Brown retweeted, so that's how I saw it. Jim Justice, I guess the governor of West Virginia, was given this fiery speech.
Yeah.
And then the camera pans back and he's at a podium and there's a chair with a bulldog in it sitting next to it there's no context. It was amazing. I'm like, I want to watch this.
I said on our Slack, I said it's remarkable how much the human and the dog look alike.
Yeah,
that was crazy, and it was kind of fun because it's just all of a sudden just zoomed out and then you see the dog. It was very whoa.
I thought Clint Eastwood was going to come out and yell at it, but he only does that to empty chairs.
I'm surprised. Who did you say? Who's the governor? Naomi
Judd.
What?
Kane? What's her? How do you pronounce her last name?
Kristi Noem. But you were talking about. We're talking about her, right? You were talking about Nikki Haley.
Oh, Nikki Haley is who I was talking about.
The other one, that's the one who killed the dog.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Took him to the quarry
correct.
For a little obedience training.
Yikes!
It's an awful, horrible thing to do it in the first place, but then to think that you're going to brag about it in a book and it's going to make you look good. It's just a window into we can't understand these people. There is something seriously wrong with all of them.
Oh, man. Well, so I will say this. I do want to change one of my predictions. I think Justin Steele is going to win the Cy Young Award this year.
You do think he's going to win the Cy Young?
On a hot streak.
how many? I know wins or not. Felix Hernandez won with 11 wins.
13 was.
But doesn't Justin have 2? How many wins does he have?
Yeah, 2.
Yep, 2 and 3.
Yep. Yeah. Still.
What about Shota?
I think Shota had that those couple bad starts that I think might.
Come on!
The one start he came back when he gave up 8 unearned runs or something.
You're not on board with him after seeing that 1-2-3 inning in the All-Star game? Come on!
Struck out Adley Rutschman.
Yeah. There's nothing that's going to make me not love Shota. But
now, did you guys see the video the Cubs had of Shota on the field before the game, where he asked Shohei to play catch with him, and he's trying to figure out what kind of glove Shohei had. What size glove do you use? The part that there was no context given that I just loved is he's out there. They're both out there, and the Braves mascot walks over, and Shota greets him and says, "Hey, great to see you again." And then he turns to Shohei. Shohei's looking at him like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He tells Shohei, the guy used to be the
Hiroshima Carp mascot.
And I don't know if that was a joke or if that really was the guy. And then so Shota actually knows him. I couldn't tell if he was just giving Shohei shit, oh yeah, well, I know this guy from Hiroshima, or if he was actually. Either way, it was very endearing that he's he was so excited to see the mascot. Hey, great to see you again.
It made me feel a little bit better that Clark is not the only one who doesn't wear pants.
No pants on the Braves mascot. Also, it was funny that the pitching coach for the Diamondbacks was basically telling Shota it was time for him to start throwing, and he's like, "I want to go watch Skeens throw." And he's like, "All right, whatever."
It's kind of fun. There's not enough of that in baseball where you kind of see the appreciation that players have for other players and seeing them pitch or play. That's like a genuine thing, right? What was genuine? No, I want to see this guy throw. Man.
Yeah, I thought it was very unlike baseball to do the right thing. I mean, to do the cool thing and let Skeens start the All-Star game.
Yeah.
I thought that was.
In fact, it was. I'm kicking myself because it was a question I meant to ask Dave. Do you think Paul Skeens should start the All-Star game? Because I thought he should have, and I didn't ask, and I thought, well, it's not going to matter. And then they picked him. I'm like, well, shit, I should have asked because it turned out, I think everybody, you picture he wasn't a rookie anymore, but 1986, Doc Gooden comes in. I think the game was in San Diego or something. Nobody could see, and he just struck everybody out. He pitched 2 innings and struck out 5 guys, I think, and you expect that. And Skeens, didn't do that. But I guess I'm sure it's Pitching Ninja has an overlay of 2 of Skeens' pitches. One is a fastball that he intentionally rides off the outside corner, and then through the same tunnel, he throws his slider that ends up in the middle of the strike zone. Yep. And the batter, who has just seen the pitch tail away, doesn't even offer, and it's a middle strike that is unhittable because you saw the pitch before, and you're like, oh, this is going to be outside, and it ends up breaking right in the middle of the strike zone. It's amazing.
That guy, he's good. He's just and that's the fun thing about technology is seeing stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure his arm's going to fall off next year, but he's just so good.
I always worry about a guy who has the elaborate warm up thing.
Yeah,
he's got all this shit. Now, I mean, Trevor Bauer is there are problems beyond, but he had the stupid he had that limp javelin, the what's his Lamar had or whatever, and Revenge of the Nerds, and he had that, and then he would throw from one foul line to the other, and then he would try to throw 1,000 miles an hour to some poor asshole standing 30 feet away from him. And I remember when Miguel Montero came to the Cubs, all I would tell everybody is what a ridiculous asshole Trevor Bauer is. Yeah, there were 2 guys that Miguel hated. It was Trevor Bauer, and who's the other one? He was right, clearly, on both guys. I can't think who the other guy was.
On the Diamondbacks.
But I worry when a guy has all that extra crap with the warm up, and it's And I'm probably wrong. I kind of picture a guy like John Lester, like, I joked about this, did like 20 seconds of arm circles.
Yeah.
And then drank a beer and then threw like 15 pitches in the bullpen and said, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Yep. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. The thing about Skeens, though, is that it doesn't like, and I don't know his whole warm-up routine, but none of it like has to do with his arm necessarily.
Right. He's like, he's getting his, he's got that. And I didn't know what it was, but when they were showing it during the All-Star game, he's got that big like shoulder pad things he puts on, and it says like something tank on it. So I think you could travel with it, and then you fill it with water to give it the weight. I think so.
Okay.
And then he like puts it on like a backpack, and he's like getting his shoulders and his like obliques in shape or whatever. And I get it. If a part of it is if you think it gets you ready, it helps.
Yeah. Like that backpack thing. I think it's just a foam roller. Like that's what it looks like.
I assume there was like something to give it some weight.
Oh, I don't know,
but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the crazy stuff about him, the fact that he was going to Air Force. Yeah. Literally flying fighter jets.
Yep.
But how does he fit? He's 6'6".
Yeah,
I gotta really lower that seat down.
I thought he had to be Tom Cruise size to fly fighter jets. He had to be like 5'2". I guess it's not like David Robinson outgrowing the submarine and the aircraft carrier, but
yeah,
we found the perfect place to trade Nick Madrigal to now.
The Air Force.
The Air Force. Yep.
Nick, go fly some fighter jets.
We haven't gotten any updates on little Nick and his little broken wrist. I'm worried about him.
Yeah, fewer updates, the better, honestly.
Do we think we'll ever see him again? Or play for the Cubs?
No. I don't know. I shouldn't say no that confidently because I'm sure he'll be up next week.
I think it's funny, so after, they brought Mastrobuoni up when, who got hurt? Not Cody, because that was Canario.
Talkman.
Yeah.
When Talkman got hurt, yep.
And so he's, he still doesn't hit, but he was actually like doing the thing that Madrigal supposedly does for them, right? He played third base in those games after. He started playing once Cody got hurt because Morel just started DHing. Without Bellinger and Talkman, the whole having to rotate guys in and out of the DH thing is kaput for right now. So they're just DHing Morel again. And little Mastrobuoni's making really nice plays, the kind that Madrigal's they'd like you to think he makes, but he doesn't. So the
kind that Boog Shambi thinks he makes. Yeah.
So it doesn't give you any when he is ready. What is the sense of? Why would you do that? Why would you downgrade from Mastrobuoni to Madrigal?
Right.
And considering there's a trade deadline coming up, maybe you could actually find somebody better than both of them. There's my task for Jed.
Who was I thinking about? There was somebody who made total sense for the Cubs to go out and get a third baseman. I forgot who it was. Never mind. There was somebody I was thinking about. It wasn't a team. During the Cardinals series, I don't know why I kept thinking about this.
Nolan Arenado.
Arenado.
They could have had him.
I'm sure St. Louis is sick of him. Have St. Louis throw in $50 million for the rest of his contract and go play him at third base, and he fits in. He's the perfect mediocre hitter for that lineup.
It is funny. The Cardinals, for all their organizational brilliance, they don't have this in them. But the play for them to make is they could sell at the deadline and actually improve their chances of making the playoffs.
By trading Goldschmidt?
And Arenado.
Yeah.
They should have done it last year. They could have done it last year. But now it's a second bad year for both of those guys.
Yeah.
So teams who were like, there's no way Paul Goldschmidt's this bad, we should just get him last year at the deadline, are now like, no, maybe he really is this bad. And then Arenado has, he's a merely really good defensive third baseman, not a great one anymore, and he's not hitting. So I'm sure you could trade both of them, but the return isn't what it would have been if. And a lot of people are like, that's what they should have done last year.
Yeah.
They supposedly have all this these log jams. They've got all these guys they can't find playing time for. Well, you could have gotten good players for those two and freed up spots for those guys, and they didn't do it. That's why Jed gives everybody no trade clauses. Then he doesn't have to worry about it because everybody's like, oh, you can't trade any of these guys.
Right.
Oh, I would have loved to, but I can't. Somebody gave him a no trade clause. That was you. Oh, was that me? Damn.
I mean, nobody's got a higher trade value right now than Ian Happ.
Nobody does. No, I think.
Nope.
I think you can go to Ian at the deadline and be like, we've got a trade in place, but you're going to have to waive it. The Dodgers want to trade Shohei to us for you. Are you willing to go? No, I'm not.
No.
Yeah, well.
Like a part of me used to think, like maybe the Reds could use it. They've got a bunch of injuries in their outfield, and I'm sure to Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, a perfect place to send him with the Pirates, but the Pirates would never pay him. You'd literally have to, just eat his contract to trade him there, so he can go home in a park that although it's one, would it be very Jeff Blauser? You know, like he has great numbers at PNC, and he goes and he's like, well, not facing.
Yeah.
Although nowadays,
if
you put up those numbers now against the Pirates, you're really earning those because they've got three of the best starting pitchers in the National League.
Jones. Yeah.
In the good old days,
Wait, who's the third?
Mitch Keller.
Oh, that's right.
Keller. That's right.
Yeah.
And three of them. That's doing a lot of. But he's He's a good starting pitcher.
He's fine.
Used to be their ace until two guys much better than him showed up.
Yeah.
I would take him on the Cubs.
Mitch Keller?
Absolutely.
Mitch Keller for Ian Happ. Done.
For Keller, yeah.
There we go. Perfect.
All right, Jed.
Heck, if
Mark it.
Cubs had even $40 million.
Oh, Tom's like, not so fast.
Yeah.
Jed, I don't think you have that kind of money.
How much money do I have? You get $40.
We've paid you well, but not that well. You can't afford to throw $40 million into a trade just to make it happen.
No, it doesn't come out of my paycheck.
Well, I'm afraid it does. How badly do you want to make this trade, Jed? If it's as good as you think.
You stay out of this.
Yeah.
We don't need more renovations.
Crane's over there going, I would throw some of the Comcast money in for you, but there isn't going to be any. It's out of... It's too unfortunate timing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see. So when we... next time we do this, it'll be the trade deadline. We'll be breaking down all the moves.
We can report on
sure
it.
There'll be plenty of them.
It happen. Maybe not as they happen.
Yeah, because they traded at like 4 o'clock Central, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
It's always so weird to me that like they do it in the middle of the afternoon and don't let it go through the night.
It used to be midnight. You used to like watch Baseball Tonight, and then like Peter Gammons would come on with a huge deal that came in afterwards, and then it would be wrong.
Oh, deals like an hour after.
The last Cub trade that came in after the gun was Nick Castellanos.
Yep.
It seemed like they didn't do anything, and then all of a sudden they announced the trade. The Nomar trade, the Cubs, the trade deadline happened during a Cub game. Like the Cubs were playing, and the deadline passed. And Dusty, Dusty's in his post-game thing, and one of the reporters, I think Paul Sullivan, said to him, "Are you disappointed that you guys didn't do anything at the deadline?" And Dusty's like, "Who says we didn't do nothing?" And apparently, like 15 minutes later, Henry walked in with this, with a spreadsheet trying to explain who was going where.
Yeah, it was like 5 different teams in that trade, right?
Yeah,
or 4.
Yeah, but it was a complicated. Yeah, it was a complicated trade.
The John Greenberg told me to read this book about Terry Francona that the curly-haired boyfriend Dan Shaughnessy wrote, because there's a lot of Theo stuff in it, and Theo talks about that trade and how Henry was just running the trade. Like they got to a point where the other general manager was like, "Jim, you just figure it out." And he's like, "This guy's going here, and you're going to go here, and you're going to get this." He calls the Twins. He's like, "You're going to get Justin Jones," and he's like, and they're like, "Okay." And we did talk about the fact that the Cubs, like in retrospect, the obvious move for the Cubs, the one that had been rumored the whole time, would have been the best deal, and that was they were simply going to trade one player to the Expos for Orlando Cabrera.
Yeah, yes.
And then all of a sudden, Nomar was available because Theo was like, we got to get this fucking guy out of the clubhouse. The rest of the team's going to kill him. And Hendry was like, oh. And that's when it all started.
Yeah, and of course, Orlando Cabrera ended up winning the World Series.
Yes, and he was a big reason why. And Nomar played well for the Cubs, but he was still hurt and couldn't really move. And
I remember hearing an interview that that the eye chart Doug Minkiewicz did talking about the day that trade happened, because that was when he got sent from the Twins to the Red Sox.
Yep.
But initially, he was sent first to the Cubs, and then the Cubs sent him to the Red Sox. And he was thinking that he was being sent down to Iowa because, there's no chance he'd be able to play when Derek Lee was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Twins and the Red Sox were playing each other. And so while the trade happened got announced after the Cub game, it got announced before the Red Sox Twins game. So Minkiewicz had to go over to the Red Sox clubhouse and put a uniform on, and he played like an hour before he was a Twin, and now he's a Red Sox, and he's playing against them. So here was the trade. It was 4 teams.
Yeah.
Nomar Garciaparra and Matt Merton to the Cubs. The Twins sent Doug Minkiewicz to the Red Sox. The Expos sent Orlando Cabrera to the Red Sox. The Cubs sent Francis Beltran, Alex Gonzalez, and Brendan Harris to the Expos, and the Cubs sent Justin Jones to the Twins. So the Cubs sent guys, I guess, just to 2 teams, right?
Yeah. Why did they need? Okay.
Yes.
Because the Expos were trading Cabrera. Why did the Twins have to get involved? Because the Red Sox wanted Minkiewicz.
Yes.
And so
that makes sense.
But they didn't want to give up anything, so Justin Jones went to the Twins, and then Francis Beltran. Wasn't he? He was Carlos's sparring partner, right?
Those 2 enormous Venezuelans who would just punch each other.
That's
who would put boxing gloves on, and in that tiny old Wrigley clubhouse would just beat the shit out of each other before games.
So that's so kick ass.
So how about this? The Cubs traded for Nomar Garciaparra from the Red Sox and didn't send a player to the Red Sox.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox got Doug Minkiewicz and didn't send a player to the Twins.
Right. And the Red Sox got Orlando Cabrera, and I don't think they sent a player to the Expos either.
Yes. Yep. The Red Sox sent players to the Cubs and the. Is that
That's
it?
it.
That's it.
Yeah, because it was pretty much so. It ended up being Garciaparra for Cabrera, straight up, and then the Cubs had to send somebody to the Expos for Cabrera, and then it ended up being Minkiewicz for Justin Jones, straight up. Okay, that makes sense.
And then Matt Merton was just a little throw-in, I guess.
Yeah. And look what happened.
Yeah, I remember.
I was such a huge Matt Merton fan too.
If this trade happened today, the prospect perverts would have lost their shit.
Oh my God!
About the Cubs sending Brendan Harris to the Expos,
right?
Because there was one of the guys on the North Side NSBB had comped Brendan Harris to Albert Pujols, and had this whole ridiculous looking at his minor league numbers and extrapolating them. And I was like, buddy, I got to tell you. You're an idiot.
I don't think so. First, Brandon Harris is much younger.
Yeah, he was like half of
even
half
at that
of
point.
Albert's age in 2004.
Yeah,
he was 20, so he was half of Albert's age. So I don't think a trade. I say that, and I'm sure there'll be some complicated thing. I don't think a trade like that can happen now because there's too many. Every front office has too fucking many people in it. Like the only way a trade like this that have to weigh in. The only way a trade like this happens is if it's like Jim Hendry and Omar Minaya and Theo and who was the other guy?
Minaya.
And Andy McPhail's younger brother.
Andy McPhail. Yeah.
And those are the 4 guys who are basically doing all the because there's too many players involved. This has to go to we got our analytics department needs to weigh in. We have to go to the owner and see if we can get the money. We have to do whatever. There's no way. It just gets all fucked up. And I say that, and there'll be some like 6-team trade that comes in an hour after the trade deadline. But
I mean, that was a fun trade. Like, I mean, I obviously remember when it happened. That was fun to like read about. Like, holy shit, the Cubs got Garciaparra. How? Like, how did this happen?
That was amazing. And then he shows up. He plays the next day.
Yeah.
Michael Barrett won't let him have 5, so he wears 8 for one day. And then Michael Barrett finally is like, maybe you should give him he's Nomar, you're not.
Yeah.
And the first game he plays in is Greg Maddox's first attempt at his 300th win.
Yes.
And it was hot.
Yes.
And Greggy had a lead
and like Phillies,
and like melted down like before everybody's eyes.
Right.
I was like, well, it's not happening. It's not happening today. His next start's in San Francisco. It'll be cool. He'll survive. Yeah, I just remember thinking, and the Cubs. Obviously that was a good team. That was with Donahue and I did like 6 hours on the 2004 Cubs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
It was a good team that was very frustrating to watch, and it turned out to be a team you loathed by the end of the season because there were just too many assholes on it. But the Cardinals had like run off. And by this time, the division's over.
Yeah.
The Cardinals, I think, won 104 games. They're way out ahead. But it just felt like, well, there's no way they won't make the playoffs now. Absolutely. And then
they went 105-57 that year. I've been to St. Louis a couple times, and just in like talking to a few Cardinals fans, which I know that's not healthy for you, but they always tell me that like the 2 teams that won the World Series, I mean, we see it for ourselves. Like it was an 83-win team and then a team that just got in on the last day. Like they kind of revere the 2004 team more than they do those 2 teams.
Yeah, their best teams didn't win shit. They're two bad teams, one of which the Cubs, Carlos Marmol, let into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will tell you this much. They revere that team more than they revere going to the dentist. One last note before we wind down. Do you know that the White Sox selected a dude whose first name is Oleg?
Oh, nice.
Really? There we go.
It was his original name. He got adopted, and now his name is Lyle. But originally, he's from Siberia. His name is Oleg.
Is that like, how about another hockey reference? One of my favorite was Igor Kravchuk.
Yeah.
Had everybody call him Gary. His American name was Gary. I just loved it. My name is Igor. Call me Gary. Okay, fine. You can be Gary. All right.
All right, Andy.
Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Many of us have herpes.
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck. So, we're going to try and rectify that. But for right now, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it.
It's fitting. It's got to be done with one of the best games of all time. Just unbelievable. I mean, got to congratulate the Dolan family.
Sean, my podcast co-host Andy, you were his favorite player growing up.
Oh, thank you so much, Awesome.